Well, welcome to today's podcast on Where There's a Will, There's a Way. And remember, what we're doing is we are creating the context for every employee in the organization to be living the ideal life. And today we have a great professional implementer for EOS. Julie Markee is going to talk about her journey with EOS Life and the journeys of some of her clients. So welcome, Julie.
It's great to be here.
So tell us, Julie, a little bit about what you were doing before you became an EOS implementer.
Well, I actually started my business about 11 years ago, and I was helping companies streamline processes and improve profitability. And I really enjoyed that, but over time, what I found was my true passion was helping people achieve their full potential. And that's when I kind of discovered EOS, and I realized this was a great way to use my engineering background and also help not just people, but also companies achieve what they really want to achieve out in the business and their communities.
So when you became an implementer, what does this EOS Life mean to you?
Well, I go back to a time early in my career. I was working 5, 6, 7 days a week, probably working 12 to 14 hours a day. And I remember my sister saying to me, well, that's not sustainable. When are you going to stop working that hard? And I remember thinking, what? Of course I have to work that hard. You don't know what you're talking about. And that conversation really stuck with me. And, fast forward 10 years and I'm looking around, I'm like, I don't want to work this much. I don't want to work this hard. There's more to life than just work. And when I read the EOS Life, I was like, oh my gosh, finally someone understands that we can do what we love with people we love. And the last piece about time for other passions, that last one, which is the one that a lot of my clients seem to struggle with, is giving themselves permission to do something other than work.
Are you making a great contribution with what you're doing right now?
With my EOS life, what I'm doing with EOS, absolutely. But my other time, some of that is me being out in the woods and being out in nature, which really fills me up. But I also have time. I started a ministry at our church in last year, and I'm just helping the other people in our community, in our congregation, get stuff done around their house. It's called the Shoulder Ministry. And I know I would not have had time for that had I not decided that I really want to live the EOS life.
And so you're doing the work that you love doing, right? And you're getting compensated appropriately, right? And one of the really interesting things that I find is for the EOS implementer, when they look at like 20 clients, that's 100 days a year of sessions, and you can certainly get an appropriate compensation from that, and then that leaves you the time to do those other things, and you really don't need to have 35 clients, so it's not a matter of not working. It's a matter of focusing on where you can make the biggest impact on folks. Because
absolutely, it's not.
When you have 20 clients, you're going to have impact on. If you have an average employee of 50 per, that's 50 times 20. That's a lot. 50. That's 500 people that you're making that you're impacting their lives.
1,000.
1,000.
It's 1,000.
1,000 people that you're impacting their lives.
Yeah.
All right. That's pretty. That's impactful. And I had one of my clients said that he had been reared by his father to believe that you have to work a lot. You have to work more than 40 hours a week, 50, 60, 70 hours a week if you're successful, to become successful. And when he learned that you don't need to be working that hard, you can delegate to people who can do as well as or better than you can in that particular task.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that to me is a huge contribution when we can help people to see that that's really the case. It's not a matter of working harder. It's a matter of delegating so that we can work and do our best work on the things that it's our unique ability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the stuff that we really enjoy doing, the stuff that kind of fills us up so that we have the energy to continue to do that rather than the stuff that's
Yeah,
draining us.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So tell
Yeah.
me about your clients. What have you observed with your
Mm-hmm.
clients?
I from a EOS life standpoint, just the
Uh huh.
impact. I mean, I'd start with the impact. And I have a nonprofit I've been working with, and they're the boys. It's a boys and girls club, and they have done the work. I only led them through it, but they've done all the hard work, and their ability to make a greater impact in our
Mm-hmm.
community is amazing. And when I talk to that leadership team, they are fired up, they have a vision, they've been able to add some staff based on the support from the board based on this vision. And we have no way of knowing how many youth are going to be impacted by the hard work that that leadership team has done.
Wow.
That's amazing. So that's a nonprofit, and then you have the for profits who they're creating a lot better environment. I mean, I love the core values piece of it, and they're creating an environment that people really want to be a part of, that they're excited to be coming to work, and that just creates excitement around the organization, but also for the people. They're not as likely to go home and kick the cat, right? Because they're having fun at work and they're enjoying what
Yeah.
they're doing.
Wow. Well, so now are they seeing and thinking about the five things in the EOS life? Are they talking about that?
Mm-hmm. So for Christmas, I gave the EOS Life to almost all of my
Uh-huh.
clients. And I had one client that he's like, I want our 10-year target to be that every single employee is living the EOS
Wow.
life. I mean, he just absolutely loves that book. And he's so fired up about it. And I believe that's impacting the entire organization.
Wow.
So I would say that when they I don't always introduce the EOS life. I got to wait till they're kind of ready for it. But once they read it and they really spend some time
Mm-hmm.
thinking about it, that's they can see it. They can see it for themselves. And then when you start talking about how that impacts not only the leadership team but the employees and the families of the employees, and just how great that impact can be, that's probably one of the most rewarding things of what
Yeah.
I do as an
Yeah, well,
employer.
that's what I mean by focusing on what you are good at, that's your unique ability, and helping people to see
Mm-hmm.
that. I mean, and what's exciting is that you're part of a group of 500, soon to be 600 and 700, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, implementers around the world, and who are predicting that by 2030 they will have implemented EOS in 100,000 companies. I mean, that's 5 million people, not counting their families.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that's going to be like?
Well, I go back to that sand dollar, right? That was on the beach, and like, why are you picking up that one and throwing it into the
Mm-hmm.
water? Because you can't save them all. But this is one of those things where it's going to have an impact on that company, and then it's just going to continue to grow. It's going to take off when we really start to talk about what it means to live a very fulfilling life in a way that we're using our, the Dan Sullivan unique abilities, but we're just fired up and excited to make our contribution to society. It's one of the first conversations you and I had was talking about the importance
Yeah,
of this.
yeah. All right, so tell me about some examples of how people are in companies, how they are taking this to their employees.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking through the one that's just a real champion of it is really sitting down, sharing the EOS life with every single employee, rather than the book is what the heck is EOS? That's when we're rolling out EOS to the organization. But they're like, well, that's not quite what they need to know, because that's what we're doing, but the why, the context behind it is much more powerful. So that client started sharing that with all of their employees, and that's and then you start talking about what their impact is on their whole industry. And as the founder of this particular client said, we just want the best in our industry. We don't care how big we are. It's not about that. It's just having the best people, and from there we can do the best quality work we can possibly do.
Wow. Well, I like that whole idea of how we communicate the why. Uh, we certainly have the how in traction, and for a company
Yeah.
to say, well, I mean, like I'm blown away when a company says our 10-year target, in addition to our revenue number or whatever we have out there, we're also going to say we expect that by our 10-year target, 100% of the people in this company will either be living the EOS life or have a clear path toward it. That really gives every employee a reason for being there. If the company's saying we want you to live your ideal life, it seems to me that that's going to, number one, it's going to help retention significantly. And when they make that part of their promise to people in their recruitment package, who doesn't want to work with a company like that?
I think it's hard for people to believe it. It's because it's not something that you hear employers talk about when they're recruiting. We want you to live your ideal life. Well, everybody says that. But I think kind of explaining what that looks like and giving them a path towards it, it's just going to take a while for people to just say, wait, they really meant that. They didn't just say that. And I mean, that's part of it, is when you go back to the core values and go back, what are your core values? And if those are aligned, and then you're explaining, this is who we are, and this is what we want you to have the option to become. And this is a company that they really, really believe in their core values. So, yeah.
And so people believe in the company. They believe in the focus for the company, where they're going, what they're trying to do, and they also feel like they belong in the company. Now, I'm wondering, in that, how important is it to measure the path toward living the EOS life?
I think that measurement, when I think about it, Will, I think everybody has to measure that differently. Because some people think, as an implementer, hey, 30 clients, I'm full. And some people are like, I'm 10, I'm full. So you have to kind of decide what is it that you want to be doing, and how much time do you want to spend doing that, and what are those other passions. So I think helping them get clear on those things, and maybe give them kind of a path on how do you actually achieve that. But I don't know how to, that measurement's different for everybody.
I'm wondering if in a company now, if just the conversation, I mean, because you're going to have quarterly conversations, everybody's going to have a quarterly conversation with their supervisor. So I'm just wondering if the question, are you making progress toward living the EOS life, yes or no? I'm wondering if that's part of the measurement.
It isn't. It should be. If you're having that conversation, that's part of what you want to do. And then what is it that the company can do to help you?
How can we help you develop?
On that
How
path?
can we help you develop the things that you want to develop, and that would be valuable for the company? I mean, that certainly is a way of building a community. And what kind of trust is there when somebody's willing to invest time, resources, and money to helping me get better?
And I just think it's, again, and I'm not, if you're going to say it as a company, you've got to follow through with it.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have there's some real skepticism. So if you're willing to do it, and you're demonstrating it, I think people will really jump on board and want to work for a company like that. Absolutely.
And I'm wondering, how many times do you see companies who start off with with core values that they may or may not really be committed to, and over time really discover the power of living out those core values?
I would say I'd say that they do believe in the core. I mean, that's one of my favorite parts of implementing EOS is when you get to the core
Uh-huh.
values and making sure that those really are the core values. But I think they have a hard time from a leadership team level communicating them and living them with the rest of the
Hmm.
organization. And so that they're like, yeah, we've got all this, but how do you really get your employees to buy into it and agree that those are the core values and as I reward, recognize, and
Mm-hmm.
review your employees based on those core values. So how are you just living and
Mm-hmm.
breathing them is I think that's the part that I see them really challenged with is from the leadership team level down to the rest of
Mm-hmm.
the organization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was talking to a fellow today with cultural index, and that became something that was very important to companies, and that's what he focuses on. Is evaluating. He doesn't recruit them, but he does evaluate recruits, and that to me seemed to be very important. It's an important way of filtering through people and core values. I mean, if you're not going to be able to fit our company core values, you're probably not going to be very successful here. And you need to
Mm-hmm.
find a place where those core values are important, or at a place where core values just flat aren't important, not what people are looking for.
Mm-hmm.
But in I mean
Yeah.
it seems to me that's one of the things that makes an EOS run company work so well is because the goal is 100% the right people who live out those core values most of the time.
Yeah. I like I said, it's one of my favorite parts of the process is getting them to get
Uh
clear
huh.
on that and then doing that gut check that they have to do to make sure that those are the right core
Right.
values. And I've sometimes when they're struggling a little bit and having that open and honest conversation as a leadership team on are these really our core values and how are we going to live those out and how are we going to hold each other
Mm-hmm.
accountable. And that's where the magic, honestly, to me, that's where I see the magic
Mm-hmm.
happening is really that open and honest dialogue around hard, those hard
Yeah.
topics.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean that's certainly that's the one of the ways to get to the place where you're working with people you love, right? Because we share these common core values, and you
Mm-hmm.
can you live them out.
Yeah.
Now, before you were in EOS, did you have many companies that you worked with who had core values?
Well, they all have, I would say they all say they have
Uh
core
huh.
values, but I don't think that they actually live those
Uh
core
huh.
values. And and I don't think they really thought a lot about it. Every company, oh, we have a mission statement, we have a vision statement, we have all this. And I remember when I started my company, they're like, hey, you got to have a mission statement. I'm like, okay. So I created one. I don't want to, I have no idea what I was, I don't even know
Right.
what it was. I don't even know what it is. I have
Right.
no idea. Clearly I'm not paying any attention to that, but I just having those guiding principles that are going to help you make decisions when things get tough and you're like in that ooh which way do I go, um, that there's just gives you something to fall
Uh
back
huh.
on. It just gives you a stability that you don't have, and a company doesn't isn't clear on those core
Right.
values.
And well, getting really clear about your core values and your purpose. What is the why for your business? I know there's a company I am just in awe of. When we got to going to come up with their core focus in the first vision building day, I said, "Well, what's your purpose?" And they said, "Oh, that's easy. That is very easy. We know exactly what that is." I said, "Really? This was a commercial construction company." They said, "Our purpose, our reason for being is to ensure that every person who goes through this construction company retires with financial stability for the rest of their life." Wow. That was very impressive to me. I mean, they knew that that's why they were there.
And that was from the founders.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
that's the founders founded it
Hmm.
that way. Yeah. Yeah. I love talking to the founders who are very intentional about the type of business that they want to create from the very
Hmm.
beginning. It is
Yeah,
inspirational.
yeah. Well, any other particular stories from clients about how they are discovering and beginning to help every one of their employees live the EOS life?
I'm thinking through some clients, it just takes them a little bit longer to kind of get there. And I don't want to just talk about they knew from the very beginning what they were trying to
Right.
create. But I have some clients that they started and they weren't really sure. They've just been successful. And for them to stop and think, what is it that that I that I'm really trying to do in the industry that I'm in? And I saw one of my clients went through that realization of like, what is your core focus?
Mm-hmm.
And when he got when they but it was time the CEO got super clear on that core focus and that 10-year target, everything changed for the
Mm.
organization. So if you were a founder and you started, or you're president and you're just like, yeah, I didn't have that from the very beginning. You can get it. Like, you can do that work, and then you're going to get fired up, and then the leadership team together is going to get fired up, and that's going to go through the entire organization. So I don't want you to think, oh, you didn't have it from the very beginning, therefore you're never going to
Right.
have it. Discover it. We go through an exercise to help you discover this so that you can get crystal clear on that. And I think once you do that, that's when it starts to open up to you, and you take a step back and you're like, oh my gosh, this is what we're doing here. And then you're getting excited, and that starts you down that
Yeah.
path of the EOS life.
Well, I've noticed that one of the things that happens in the first 3 to 6 months is that the owners wind up getting so much time back.
Yeah. One CEO, he's like, I'm just so happy that I found out I'm a visionary and I don't have to deal with all the day to day
Yeah.
crap. He did not use crap when
Yeah.
he said it to me, but he's just thrilled that he has found his unique
Uh-huh.
ability. Right, he's delegated and elevated, and he is now on his pathway to living his EOS life.
I wonder why people didn't learn that someplace else. That whole notion of really delegating, not just assigning a task, but delegating responsibility for something that's important to the company. Just delegating that to somebody who gets it, gets what that's about, wants to do it, wants to bouncing out of the bed in the morning, and has the capacity to do it. I mean, when you can hand that over and get the results that you want, you don't have to worry about it anymore.
I think it's trust. I think it's trust. I had one client say, I want to go through the status of every single rock at every L10 meeting.
Uh,
I said, why? I said, do you not trust your team to get it done? And he said, no.
huh.
And all the air went out of the room. And I'm like, no, this is great. This is great. We can talk about it
Yeah.
now. And it's okay. But we're not, it's learning to say, how do I hire the right people so that they can get out of bed every day and want to do the
Hmm.
job, right? So we have to, like, in GWC the seat. I think that's part of it, but also just being crystal clear on what it is that you want them to
Hmm.
do. Because if it's arbitrary and you're moving things around, it's very confusing. Who's accountable for what? And so that has typically the founder jumping in and trying to do it all, put their fingers in everything, because they don't have that
Hmm.
confidence that the people will actually get
Yeah.
it done. And I just think that we just haven't taught that there is another way to run your business and to run your
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. 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 I don't know whether it's if it's rugged individualism, that belief or that assumption that I have to do it all myself or it won't get done. But there certainly has something to do with trust. There's no doubt about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, when we talk to the owners and you talk about kind of their five frustrations, I think the one that always sticks with me is nobody wants it as much as I do,
Ah. Uh-huh.
right? And so I think that's part of it,
Ah.
is just. But a lot of my clients I'm working with now, they want to share the wealth, right? They want to share the profits of the company, and so they want people to be involved and be invested in this. And when you start to create an organization where you're not out, one, just to make as much money as you
Right.
possibly can, which is probably not going to be a good EOS client
Right.
anyway, but that they want to create something meaningful and they want to bring people who want to be a part of that. And then they want to share the profits of all that. You start to create this culture where everybody is working together for the betterment of the organization. So I do think that this looking at the whole mindset shift allows you to bring in people that you can
Mm-hmm.
trust. You have to bring in the right people, but there's just a different way of looking at it. We're not out just to make money. We're out to make a
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah. Well, that's super. That's super. So you're excited about your EOS practice.
Oh my gosh. I'm not completely living the EOS life, but I am really close. And I'll tell you, the part that I love the most is working with people that I
Yeah.
love. And I come home and I'm like, I love my client. I have the best
Right.
clients. You might think you do, Will, but you don't. I have the best clients.
Right.
And there's, when you're just with people and you can just be open and honest and real and help them kind of get to the next level, it is so
Mm-hmm.
fulfilling. And when I first started my EOS journey, I was like, yeah, I can do this. It'll be fine. But now I get on the phone with these founders and these owners, and I'm like, I can help you. I can help you. Just today, I had a conversation with a founder, and I said, EOS, is a journey to get you from fear to freedom. And I said, is it okay for me to say you're fearful right now? And he said, I am fearful.
Wow.
And I said, well, that's what EOS is about. And I said, I can help you. And so knowing that inside and knowing that I actually
Yeah.
can and I know I
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
help them, it's a reason why I get up
Oh,
every
that's
morning.
super. One of
So,
my
yeah.
clients, coined the term. He said, "What this journey is a journey from SOS to EOS." I thought that was interesting. Well, this is wonderful.
Oh, it's such an
Yeah.
honor.
So, what?
It's a great to
Well,
talk
how
with you.
how can people get in touch with you if they wanted to get in touch with you?
Well, you can find me on the EOS Worldwide website, eosworldwide.com/Julie-Markee, or you can find me on LinkedIn, Julie Markee. And then my email address is
Super.
julie.markee@eosworldwide.com.
Super. Well, it's been really wonderful talking with you and seeing your progress on this journey to the EOS life for you, and hear the great stories about
Well,
your
thank you.
clients as well. That's exciting.
It is great. Well, thank you so much for letting me. And I just have to say a shout out to you that you were the first person that gave me the context of the EOS
Ah,
life. So being able to talk to you
good.
about this now
Super.
is an honor.
Well, and
So
we want
thank
to
you.
talk to some of your clients too and get them to talk about the great job you're doing with them. Well, this is just one other example of the belief that we have that where there's a will, there is a way, and when you focus on creating that the opportunity for that EOS life, the context for it in your company, so that everyone, 100% of the people in your company, are either living that EOS life or they have a path to it where they are doing what they love doing, where they're doing what they love doing with people they love. They see the great contribution they're making to the company and to the world through their clients and customers. They're all getting paid, getting compensated appropriately, and they have plenty of time left over for their other passions and their family, and the company is celebrating what they do in that time of using that time for their passions. It's a great thing, and it's just another example of how that is possible for every company and every employee in this country.